Welcome back to Kamikaze Overdrive NFL predictions for week number 5. Quickly recapping week number 4. Not much to say. I went 5-9. I'm going to touch on that a little bit from now. But all I can say for a week like that is keep KTF. Keep the faith, please. Rip-off report. I'm originally from Canada, Ontario more specifically. And in Ontario we have, you can bet at your local variety store. It's called ProLine. They also have point spread. And comparing ProLine to online sports, you're getting ripped off if you're betting with ProLine. And I'm going to show you a couple of ways you are. First, ProLine on a point spread ticket. If you bet 6 games, it's already set up. It's 35 times your bet. They have different increments for different games to bet. It never changes. Online, same 6 games, it's 49 times your bet. So you're getting a far better bang for your buck if you bet online. Furthermore, the spreads are, ProLine likes to jack their spreads up a little bit. For instance, Cincinnati online with a 3-point favorite. ProLine had them at 5.5. New York Jets a 6-point favorite. ProLine had them at 7.5. And they do that so that people will keep with those teams, even with the higher spread, and they're hoping, obviously, that maybe if, for instance, Cincinnati wins by 4, online they cover, ProLine they don't. And ProLine gets a lot of wins like that because people don't realize how important a point, 2 points, a half a point even, when you're doing the spread, how big it can be, how big an impact it can be, and how much money you win at the end of the week. And finally, before we move on, sportsinteraction.com/Kamikaze Overdrive NFL. Check the link out below. Get your sign-up bonus. Get online. Do some halftime betting, some live betting. Get away from the ProLine if possible. And let's move on to lessons learned, and there were a lot of them last week. First and foremost, I'm not alone. I got a little criticism in the comments from my last video, but I took a couple peeks on a couple other websites. And on TSN.ca, Chris Schultz is a big NFL picker. He went 5-9. And Pete Prisco on CBSSports.com, his picks, he also went 5-9 with spread picks. So all 3 of us with the same record, 5-9. Can't do much about it. It's just one of those weeks. Looking back from bad to worse, what I'm going to refer to as Atlanta started off terrible. They finished okay. They didn't cover the spread. Pittsburgh started off not bad. Lost at the end. New Orleans, slow start. Got the job done. Indianapolis, another one. And the way I look at it this way is when things start off bad, they're probably, they could get worse. Don't try and solve your problems by throwing a pile of money at it. Walk away. There's always next week. Come back strong. That's what I intend to do this week. Divisional games are tough. I've touched on this before, but you look at how some of these games played out. For instance, Cleveland-Cincinnati, I did call the Cleveland win. Tough game. Cleveland, put up a good front and beat Cincinnati, but a lot of people expected Cincinnati to get the win. Detroit-Green Bay. Detroit fought them right at the end. Could have very easily won the game. Same with Carolina and New Orleans. Carolina was a tough team in that game. New Orleans struggled to cover the giant spread there. Indianapolis-Jacksonville. I'll touch on that later. But again, Jacksonville played hard, almost took them out. And the New York Jets-Buffalo game, divisional game, and the Jets absolutely destroyed them in that one. It wasn't even close. Quick starts and late finishes. Again, San Francisco got to a great start, impeded Atlanta's ability to cover the spread. Atlanta finished strong, but it wasn't enough. Again, the Jets were up 7-0 on Buffalo, nearly made it 14-0 with a quick turnover on the kickoff after the touchdown. Pittsburgh-Baltimore, late finish. Baltimore did me in there with a late touchdown. Green Bay, Detroit. Detroit made up some points late. Green Bay looked like they were going to cover. They're having a double-digit lead most of the game. Detroit cut into it, caught up. Denver, Tennessee. Tennessee looked like they were in good shape. Denver just took it away from the Titans at the end and hurt my record that way. And finally, Jacksonville can suck it because they can. I'm sick of trying to pick Jacksonville. I'm hoping to get them right this week again. They did the Colts in. They came out and put a good effort out. They're a hard team to call. Okay, moving now to the picks. First pick I'm going to look at is the Atlanta Falcons heading to Cleveland. Cleveland is a 3-point home dog. First thing I look at is the Cleveland Browns have won the last 2 meetings in this matchup. Atlanta's won, I look at Atlanta, their last 2 games, they've won by a combined score of 5 points. So they're a 3-point favorite on the road. Where you got Cleveland, 3 of their last 4 games have been decided by less than 3 points. They're a home dog. This could be kind of a letdown for Atlanta, going on the road after 2 home games against a big win against New Orleans, a tight home win against San Francisco. So I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns to keep this game close. Could end up being a push, but I'll take Cleveland in the points. Moving next, Carolina at home against the Chicago Bears. For Chicago, I was going back and forth. I wasn't sure how this was going to work out. I think it's a good spot for Carolina to get their first win of the season. It's back-to-back road games for Chicago. They did not play well against the Giants last week. Again, Carolina's a home dog. They've won their last 2 home games with Chicago, which obviously could play a factor in here. And they played well against New Orleans. New Orleans is a little banged up. Carolina competed with them. I think they'll build momentum. So I'm going to take Carolina as a 2.5-point underdog at home. Moving next to Denver, Baltimore. Baltimore's a home favorite of 7 points. I originally picked Denver. I've gone back to Baltimore. This is back-to-back road games for Denver. Baltimore have won their last 2 home games versus Denver by combined 43 points. They've really had success at home against the Broncos. The Ravens are 3-1. They've only played 1 home game this year, which shows they've played fairly well. They're coming up a huge win over Pittsburgh. They need to avoid this being a letdown game. I think they will. Denver had a big come from behind win over Tennessee. I'm hoping they come into Baltimore and are kind of exhausted and happy to come away with a split on the road at 1-1. So I'm going to take a big spread with Baltimore. I think they come out, their defense shows up, their offense with Joe Flacco gets rolling, take the Ravens as a 7-point favorite. Moving next, the Green Bay Packers heading into Washington to play the Redskins. Green Bay's won the last 4 times they faced Washington. This is certainly a letdown game for the Redskins, seeing as they come off that huge win in Philadelphia. Big for Don McNabb heading back to play the Eagles. Big letdown after this, so I'm expecting them to maybe struggle here at home against Green Bay. I think that in that situation, the Redskins are pretty banged up, and the fact that how big that game was against the Eagles helped them to cover up some of their shortcomings. I think Green Bay will expose them. They have a lot of weapons. They'll be able to get the job done against Washington. And I think Green Bay will tighten the game up after a close game against Detroit. So I'm going to take the Packers as a 3-point road favorite over the Washington Redskins. Moving next, that dreaded team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, heading to Buffalo. Jacksonville's a 1-point favorite on the road. I think it's a letdown game for the Jaguars. Coming up a gigantic win over the Indianapolis Colts at home. Now they're headed on the road to a cold Buffalo to take on the Bills. It's a letdown game for Jacksonville. Buffalo's a home dog. Like I said, it's a warm weather team heading to a cold weather location. The home team in this series is 3-1, so that bodes well for the Bills. And I think the line's a little fishy. You've got Buffalo, who got lit up by the Jets last week, taking on Jacksonville, who knocked off Super Bowl finalists last year in the Indianapolis Colts. Jacksonville's only a 1-point favorite. So I'm going to stick with the Bills. Hopefully they get the job done. Come on, Buffalo. It's a good chance for a win. Let's get the job done here. Kansas City against my Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are at home. They're 8.5-point favorites. I'm going to go the other way. Kansas City's 3-0 against the spread this year. Their last matchup against Indianapolis, they were 14.5-point underdogs. It turned out to be a 3-point game. Some teams played better against other teams. Kansas City's coming off a bye. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this matchup. And one of the things I look at is Kansas City's been running the ball very well this year. They've been averaging almost 160 yards a game. Well, Indianapolis has struggled against the run, giving up almost 150 yards a game. And I think this will help Kansas City to control the game, keep Peyton Manning on the sidelines, and keep it within 8.5 points. So I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs as 8.5-point road dogs against Indianapolis in this matchup. Moving next to Houston. Houston Texans are at home as 3-point favorites against the New York Giants. I look at 2 similar teams these guys have faced off with. The Giants played in Indianapolis, got lit up, got absolutely destroyed in that game. While Houston really did play well against Indianapolis and got the win. I think Houston at home will put pressure on the Giants. Giants got a win last week. Pressure's off after their win over Chicago, so I think they have a little bit of a letdown here heading to Houston. Houston picks up the win by 3 points to take the Texans as 3-point favorites. Moving next, the Lions are at home taking on the St. Louis Rams, 2 of the worst teams in the league last year. Difference is this year the Lions are 0-4, the Rams are 2-2 and on the rise. They've won 2 in a row, and they have a chance to go 3-2 and very much compete in a division that's very weak, but still, winning a division is winning a division. You go to the playoffs. That would be huge for the last place St. Louis Rams from last year. St. Louis is 3-1 in their last 4 meetings against the Lions, and their 2 defeats this year, they've lost by a combined 6 points. I think they're playing well. Jackson's running well. Bradford's playing well. Detroit, they put up a good fight in Green Bay. Now they're coming back home. That could be a tough game, and maybe a little bit of a letdown in that sense, with St. Louis playing for a lot this year because they're very much in the hunt. With Detroit 0-4, they're going to be desperate, but I don't think it's going to do a lot. I'm going to take St. Louis as 3-point favorites. I think this is a tight game. If Detroit wins it, it won't be more than 3 points. The Bengals now at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers coming off a bye here. Bengals are 6.5-point favorites at home. Cincinnati's been playing better. They're improving every week. They had a tough game against Cleveland last week. It was their 2nd straight road game. Very tough matchup. They still played well, even though they were defeated. Tampa Bay got exposed with Pittsburgh. They were 2-0. Pittsburgh came in and absolutely laid into them and destroyed them. I think they're going to struggle on the road this week in Cincinnati. The Bengals are picking things up. It's a big game, a must-win for them. I'll take, again, the Palmer over Freeman in the quarterback category. So I'm going to take the Bengals to win by at least a touchdown in this game and continue rolling. Moving now to Arizona. Arizona's at home against New Orleans. Another game I went back and forth on. First, I looked at all 4 New Orleans games this year have been decided by 5 points or less. So a 7-point spread on the road is a very interesting spread. New Orleans is banged up. Reggie Bush is gone. Pierre Thomas is injured. Might be back to this game. Might not. If he's not, they're going to be weak at the running back position. Arizona's a home dog, obviously 7 points, a lot of points to give up at home, and they're desperate for a win to keep in the division hunt. They got beaten last week badly by San Diego. They need a win here. Again, they're just like St. Louis, they're just like Seattle. They can win this division. Even San Francisco at 0-4 has an opportunity to win this division. So Arizona will put up a good fight. They might win this game, 7 points. I'm more than willing to take that at home. I think they keep it tight, and if New Orleans doesn't, outright beat them, I think it'll be by less than 7 regardless. Next, the big divisional matchup, the Oakland Raiders against the San Diego Chargers. Oakland's a home dog. It's a divisional game. San Diego's 0-2 on the road this year. Oakland's playing their second game at home, which usually means they're a little bit more rested. They're rolling here. They lost a tough game against Houston last week, and they've been playing more respectful this year, absolutely. And I think 6.5 points is not a lot to give up. San Diego has not shown me on the road. Until they show me they can come out, put a good road game together, I'm going to take the home dog every time. So I'll take the Oakland Raiders to keep it within 6.5 of San Diego Chargers. Dallas Cowboys at home against the Tennessee Titans. Dallas is a 6.5 point favorite at home. They're coming off a bye, and they've only got 1 win this year. They're 1-2. I don't think that 1 win is enough to justify them as a 6.5 point favorite over Tennessee. Tennessee's not a bad football team, and I think their coach is going to have them rolling after that tough loss against Denver, where they really they kept Denver in the game, and Denver just got the last couple points right at the end and picked the victory. I think Tennessee responds and will go out and win this game. Definitely I think they're going to have a chance to win this game. I'm going to say they'll cover the spread. I think it being a 3-point game is reasonable, so I'm going to take Tennessee as a plus 6.5. Next, San Francisco is the Sunday nighter. San Francisco hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. I look at the way San Francisco is desperate for a win. 0-4. They can still win the division because no one's really lighting it up in that division. A win here, they can right the ships. A loss here, 0-5, that's hard to rebound from. 6 or 7 wins in that division could win it. Hopefully at least a 500 team will win it, so they can win here and get them going. They're at home. They're 3.5 points favorites. They're going to be desperate. And at home, they nearly beat New Orleans. And I look because they are 0-4, and they are a favorite in this game because the Philadelphia team has looked fairly good. I find that very interesting. Kevin Cobb's back as the quarterback with Vic being injured. I think they only scored 12 points against Washington last week, and they were at home. I think they might struggle against San Fran. It's a must-win for the 49ers, and I see them coming up with a big effort and winning this game handily over the Philadelphia Eagles. So take the 49ers as 3.5 point favorites. And finally, the Monday nighter, Brett Favre returns to the New York Jets. Not quite as big as going back and facing Green Bay, but they'll take on the Jets here. The Jets are home dogs or home favorites of 4 points. Minnesota's going to be a little bit healthier coming off a bye. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game where the Jets are a little bit banged up on defense. And Minnesota has the tools to exploit them. And they've just got Randy Moss. Unless the reports the rumors are false, Minnesota's going to come into this game with a big-time weapon back in their arsenal, Randy Moss, and he will help them to pick up a good game against the Jets. That trade, if it does go through, could very well change the line in this one. So jump on the 4 points Minnesota has. And I think they'll keep it tight, this game very tight. And this could be a letdown game for the Jets. They've played 3 consecutive games in the division. They've won all 3 of them. Now they're facing a team from the other conference. So look for Minnesota to make a game of this. Maybe outright win. Definitely take Minnesota at +4. Conclusion for NFL predictions week number 5. As you can see, my 4-way parlay tracker above, I'm 0-1 minus $50. I'll update that every week. Obviously, if I win money, it'll go in the plus. If I continue to lose money, it'll go in the negative. This week, my 4-way parlay, I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers, favorites over Washington. I'm going to take the Houston Texans as favorites at home against the New York Giants. St. Louis 3-point dogs on the road against Detroit. And San Francisco at home, 3.5 point favorites over Philadelphia. A bet on that one pays a $50 bet pays just short of $700. So get in there, see if you can make some money that way. Check out my UFC 120 video. Hopefully posting that this weekend sometime. The event coming up 2 weeks from now. As always, sportsinteraction.com. Click on the link below. Get your bonus. Deposit your money. Win some cash. Because this is going to be a better week than last week for sure. And finally, have faith, and I'll see you in week 6. Roll credits.